Hello, everyone. I'm Coach Grethe, and this is Better People, Better Planet's YouTube channel. If you want to know the tips, tricks, and hacks to make the law of attraction work for you so you can create the life you want, then you're in the right place. Today, I am so excited because I'm talking to a special guest, author, artist, filmmaker, and creator of her very own healing modality, Diane Pfister. Make sure you watch until the end because she will give us a demo of how this modality works. Diane has an interesting and diverse background. She describes her life as consisting of different stages or chapters. Diane is a remarkable artist. Her 3 degrees from London University to United States have created a wealth of knowledge in science and fine arts. She's had exhibitions in the US and Europe. She's lectured at different art schools in Europe, and she says her art visualizes her exploration of the human in relation to the spiritual. The next chapter of her life, she actually wrote a book about. Diane refers to this chapter as the spider bite saga. When her 7-year-old daughter was bitten by a spider and fell into a coma, Western medicine was unable to help, so Diane turned to a modern-day medicine man for help. The spider bite saga kicked off the next chapter, healing work and explorations of ancient methodologies revamped for today. Diane Pfister has spent over 10 years helping clients overcome physical and emotional challenges. Her spiritual education in many ancient cultures has prepared her to find this unique niche where she designs and utilizes software programs to encourage the scanning and healing of thousands of people struggling with physical pain, emotional trauma, and spiritual quests. Diane is passionate about sharing her knowledge to help people heal. She even created her own healing modality called Graced. She combines the Graced modality with a quantum healing tool and emotion code and body code. She also makes documentaries about healing that you can find on YouTube. I'll include a link to her channel in the description. Diane, you are a remarkable woman, and I'm so excited to get this chance to talk to you.
Oh, you are precious. Thank you for the opportunity. It's just an incredible experience, I know, just talking to you in these past few years.
Thank you. So my first question to you, and I really need to know this, how is your daughter? Can you tell me, or do I have to read the book?
Well, it's funny, my daughter, even though it was so traumatic and difficult, she went into a coma that lasted 72 hours, and then she had amnesia for 2 years. So the actual struggle was not something she was aware of. She had to actually read the book to know what happened. So
Wow.
she recovered, and she's now living in London, a very high-flying businesswoman, working, traveling the world in her work. And so the trauma is really mine at this point.
Oh, wow. I'm so happy to know that she's doing good. And I guess maybe her body did her a favor by not allowing her to remember.
Yeah, that's the beauty of amnesia, I think, and comas, is that when the body gets to the point of being overwhelmed, these are protective devices that I've learned about now, that we all go through, that we all have points where we can shut down, like we can develop heart walls and things like that, in the body code and the emotion code, where you are protected from feeling the crisis you're going through, or extreme grief, or whatever it is. But there comes a point in time where you say, you know what, this is enough, and I'm ready to start feeling again. And that's when that little glue that's in the synapses dissolves, and you get reconnected to your body.
Wow. Interesting. And was what happened with your daughter what got you started on your healing journey?
Absolutely, yes. Well, I had lots of psychic experiences before that, and everyone would say to me, you're just a little bit off, because I would know, like, my father had 5 heart attacks before he finally passed, and I knew in the middle of the night I'd wake up and I knew. But it was actually the experience in having a doctor say to me, we don't know if your daughter's going to make it through the night, that I knew I had to do something. So I went on a computer, and I knew the spider was a strange spider with this weird spider bite. And I just put in that goes into detail in the book I wrote about it, but eventually I found a man who's devoted his life to preserving Native American remedies. And he said he had a remedy and it works in the first 94 hours if you can get it on the wound. And I said to him, look, where are you? I'm just calling a number. And he said, well, where are you? And I said, well, I'm in London, England. And he said, well, I'm in the mountains of Arizona. And I said, please, I'm a mother begging. Here's my American Express number. I don't care if you book a first class ticket. If you swear it works, I need it. And so he drove through the mountains for 3 hours to get to an airport, to FedEx it to me, and put it on. Worked amazing. I mean, within 6 hours, the wound, I mean, you can look inside her body and see the sinew of her muscles. It healed it in 6 hours, like half of it, and then another 6 hours sealed up the wound. And he charged me $16. And I knew then I have to do something more than say thank you to this man. And so eventually I got a grant and my daughter was fine by the age of 14. And we went there and spent a summer and studied his methods. And I took photographs and I wrote part of the book is to explain his philosophy. And while I was there, he said to me, you should be a healer. You've got something that's very special and you need to develop it. And that was the start.
Wow. What scary experience, but also wonderful experience. And I'd say it really goes to show that oftentimes there are opportunities in the difficulties we experience in life if you're willing to look for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. As the Chinese say, everything is a gift, even a cold.
Yeah. Well, a cold, if it means you get to be on the couch and watch Netflix and have tea, then I'm all for it.
There's an upside. Maybe there's something you shouldn't be doing that day that you're avoiding by being home on the couch.
Exactly. So you've developed your very own healing modality called Grace. Was there any event or awakening that you think was pivotal to developing the work as a book and then as a healing modality?
Yes, it was really a fascinating journey. After we finished being at Revis Mountain and learning all of the healing methods, I became a practitioner for body code and emotion code, did the training, got certified, and I was functioning perfectly well until one day I started working with a Broadway star who became an alcoholic because she couldn't deal with the stress. And she'd spent 2 to 3 years on the sofa or her bed in the house of her parents when she contacted me. And I worked with her for 6 months. And when one day she just said, you know what, I think all the trauma of the past is gone. I'm ready to go back and start working again. And I was so excited and very vain about it that my work had such a great effect. But 6 months later, she called me and said, I'm back in a rehab. I haven't really created the structure of my life that I need to be strong. I've gotten rid of the past that was causing my problems with alcohol, but I haven't really designed a future. And at that point I said, you know what, I've let her down. That's my fault. I haven't given her any tools for designing the future she wants and removing the blocks that are keeping her from operating on a frequency she needs to be at to avoid those pitfalls. So in order to find anything that resembled a way of healing that was about designing the future, I went to the past. I went to ancient methods. And I found the Native Americans will have a policy of you never give voice to a disease because that gives it power. There's a frequency in your voice. And by saying that I have a headache or I have a stomach ache, you're actually strengthening that frequency. So what you say is, I have health. I'm living in health. And of all the myriad of possible holograms out there of what you can be, you're drawing the one of health towards you by that statement, as opposed to the one that's about illness. And I found that so powerful. And then I found that Tibetan monks have the same philosophy, and Aboriginal shamans in Australia have that, and Tibetan monks and Peruvian shamans. And I thought, wow, how come all of these organizations, these cultures, these methods of healing aren't ours? And that started the journey. And I created using contemporary software programs. I took the methods of healing and applied them to simple processes where you just click this and click that and click that, and you go through the process so that anybody can use Grace. Anybody who can muscle test, anybody who can use a pendulum. That's just the prerequisite. But after that, any child can use it. Maybe a child wakes up and says, I have a stomach ache and I don't want to go to school. Okay, let's find out what the frequency you need in order to address the issues that are being presented in your mind, causing you to think you need to be ill and miss school. And so a mother can help a child, a teacher can help a student, and eventually the student can help himself and learn how to do it. And my goal is that every home has access to this and everyone heals themselves. Obviously, it's not appropriate for emergencies. You break your leg, something like that. You don't have any medical issues here. But for these sorts of things, the power is within you.
So you're telling me this is not for professionals only?
I started off that way. I found that acupuncturists loved using it. They would put the needles in their client, and instead of walking away and making a cup of tea, they would sit down and do Grace, and they had added a dimension of healing to the process. And so I explored that and trained people in workshops on how to use it. But I've now worked on making an online training process step by step, so you can learn it in a day. The video lasts an hour, and you can stop and start, replay, go back when you want to, work with someone with the video running step by step if you need to, till it becomes automatic. So instead of going to your medicine cabinet, you'll go to your phone or your computer and you'll just plug into Grace.
Wow, that's amazing. And that to me reminds me of how the emotion code is. You can read the book, and after reading the book, you can actually do the emotion code for yourself, for your friends, family. And is it the same way with Grace? After doing this course, you'll be able to do this?
Well, funny enough, the book was an afterthought. The book is a compilation of many different healing modalities that have been revamped in the modern 21st century. And some of them remain the same. Like there's an opening chapter about how dolphins in the Black Sea are helping the birth of a child. The mothers go in when they're about ready to give birth, and the dolphins scan the stomachs and ensure that the child is born healthy. And it's not just that. Every child that has been born this way has a genius IQ and perfect physical awareness. So there's something they're doing more than just a sonar. I mean, that's our primitive concept of it. So there's all sorts of things like that. And then there's also how these things, these ancient methods have been applied to modern technology, like in my case, the software program. So there's that. So I took all of that research and created a book, had a wonderful editor, Cindy Welch, and we worked together to make this happen.
So we're talking about the book. Maybe you can show the viewers what book we're actually talking about.
It's called Graced, and you can get it on Amazon.
Beautiful.
And it goes into lots and lots of different discoveries that have happened recently that we just don't get to hear about, but you have to, it's time that we hear about them.
Yeah. And what would you say is the main focus of the book?
It's revealing how these ancient practices are rebirthed now through modern technology.
Wow. I can't wait to read it. I know you have a signed copy of it right there that you're going to ship to me.
Yes, sure. It's all ready for you.
I'm so excited. Also wondering, did you create the artwork for the book?
Yes. Actually, the photograph on the cover, I'll hold it up again. It was a time release image of Kew Gardens, a tree that was lit up at Christmas time with thousands of tiny lights. So it was like about a 5-minute exposure. And the idea is that the tree is growing now, but its roots reflect the knowledge that the tree has. So
Wow, I love it. I'm curious about this healing modality, Grace, and the process. And so, what are the core issues identified and then released from this healing process?
Well, the first step is really, as I mentioned with the Native American process, is that we define the state you want. Well, how can you, in most simple terms, just say, like, as though you've had it for 5 years and it's almost boring. I live with health. I live with this. And it's so funny, we don't have that kind of language in modern society. We will only, other than to say, I'm fine when you meet someone, we will only talk about what's wrong with us and what we want. So this is about, let's say, this is what I want, but I'm saying it in terms of it exists. So that's the first big step. Then we discover the frequency or feeling that is the most powerful that you need in order to achieve that goal statement. And then we discover what is blocking you from achieving that goal statement. And every person's completely different, but there are main categories that your higher self will guide you through to what that resolution needs to be. We need to dissolve something. It could be a past life. It could be a physical misalignment or ailment. It could be an experience in this life. It could be a maze that you have blocked your heart from being connected to whatever this energy is. So every treatment's different. And that's what makes it exciting, both as a practitioner and as just someone who's using it, is that you discover so much about yourself. It's all about bringing what's inside out.
Wow. I really love what you said about the first part, which is deciding what it is you want in positive terms, because I notice myself, if I want to say a statement about if I have a headache, how do I word not having a headache? Like there are no words. So finding the words, and it's the same with emotions. We kind of lack the vocabulary we need to describe our emotions, many of us.
Mm.
And it sounds like we also lack the vocabulary to describe the wellness that we want. And it's such a shame because the spoken word, your thoughts have immense power. So wording what it is we want in a positive wording is so important.
Absolutely. And it's in the book as well, but there's something that it's a really important lesson that I had to learn. Also, I have a puppy, which you may be hearing noises of occasionally, that you do not say in the universe any negative, any don't, won't, can't, shouldn't, because the universe doesn't hear that. And you think about the 10 commandments, what are they based on? Thou shalt not kill.
Mm.
The universe doesn't hear negatives. You're saying thou should kill. So you're actually drawing the energies, the low frequencies of those towards you as being a higher resonance. And that
Wow.
we can just change our language. Like my puppy was misbehaving and I was saying, don't bark. And an animal communicator said to me, he doesn't understand don't. There is no don't in the universe. You have to say quiet. You have to say what you want to say because it's a telepathy communication. So you're showing quiet, which is a gesture like that. Quiet is totally different than saying, don't bark.
Ask for what you want.
Look at the difference in energy and
yeah.
So it goes into a lot of detail with that. Harold Kautz has done amazing lectures, and those are referenced in the book as well, about these negative energies that have been pre-programmed in us to keep us low in our frequency. So if we can change our language, we can change our frequency.
Wow. Fascinating. You know, another thing that I loved about what you said about how Grace works is that it sounds to me like it has an easy to follow step-by-step framework. And to me, I'm a scientist. I have a master's degree in toxicology. I'm a systems person. I love logic, structure. So to me, when I started doing energy healing, it was through PSYCH-K. PSYCH-K to me provided the framework. Emotion code is a great framework. Body code is a great framework. And what I've noticed when I started doing PSYCH-K, having that framework opened me up to my intuition.
Whoa, that's something very powerful.
And your framework of grace probably has the ability to do the same for anyone who uses it, I would imagine. So being a lover of systems and structure, grace appeals to me a lot. So I'm excited to be experiencing a session of that in a few minutes. But before that, I want you to share with people how they can find you online. Where do anyone who wants to work with you or find out more about you go to find out more?
Sure. Well, I have several websites, but we'll make it simple. We'll call it Graced, which is www.graced with a D. So it's graced.co.co. Not
okay, awesome.
.co. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll include all of your links in the description so that it's easy for anyone who wants to figure out more to find you. And my last question is, what is your best tip, trick, tool, or advice for people who want to manifest their goals and dreams quickly and easily?
Well, obviously have a grace treatment would be number one. Number two would be have access to the membership, which is you buy monthly or annually, and you can learn how to do it yourself or treat, your children or anyone in your family or yourself. But I would say something that is definitely detailed out in the book is something about prayer. And I think we've touched on it a bit, but in the mid 1950s, 40s, something like that, in the deep sea scrolls, they discovered the original Aramaic prayers, which have been manipulated. And I know we all think of prayer as something you recite. It has to do with rituals of dates, Christmas, Easter, Hanukkah, whatever. And those have distorted our connection to what prayer really is. And out of this translation, this pure translation, we discovered that it's actually a feeling. And that's the root of grace, is that you discover the feeling and you feel what it is you want in present tense. Greg Braden did wonderful videos on that on YouTube. And he says that he was asked to go pray with a friend of his who's Native American, and they needed to pray for rain because the crops were dying. And so he said, yes, I'll go with you. Let's go pray. So his friend sat down on the ground, and 5 seconds, 10 seconds. He said, it wasn't more than 30 seconds. He said, okay, let's go. He goes, wait a minute, what was that all about? He said, no, what you do is you envision the drops of rain on your back, making your shirt wet and sticky. You imagine your feet squishing through the mud on your way home. It's the feeling of what you want that you draw towards you, and you don't use words, and it's nothing about how we've been taught.
Oh, it's the same thing Joe Dispenza says in his meditations, teaching your body to feel the feeling of having achieved your goal.
There you go.
And that's what you're doing with grace, because we're finding the goal statement. What do you want? And then you're figuring out what do you need to feel for that to be true. Exactly. And then you release any block to feeling that.
Exactly.
Oh, now I'm even more excited. Because, I love Joe Dispenza's meditations, but they take forever. and you kind of, so this is sort of a shortcut, which is exactly what this channel is about. How can I manifest my goals and dreams and desires with as little effort as possible? So
yeah. And start young, start with your children. This is it. This is my goal. Get this into schools, get this as a daily thing that everyone starts their day saying, what is it? What is it I'm going to manifest today? And it's not just a thing of it's an energy. It's a feeling.
A feeling.
Attract the things that make that feeling.
Because that's what we ultimately want. We don't want a thing for the thing. We want the thing because we want to feel the way that thing is going to make us feel.
Exactly. So let's just jump it and get to the feeling.
Yes. Okay, this resonates with me and everything I've learned about manifesting and attraction and all of that stuff in so many ways. So now I can't wait. My healing session is about to start.
All right.
So I'm going to step back and let you hold space for me for my healing session. So thank you, Diane. The stage is yours.
Okay, very good. When you do a body code session, there are, of course, many options you can do. One that we haven't discussed, and I'll just quickly mention, is applying it to the Hawkins chart of consciousness. When you muscle test, you can find where you are on this chart of the emotions that go from 0 to 1000. So when you start working with this particular application of graced onto the Hawkins chart of consciousness, you first muscle test to find out where you are on the chart, and then you ask your higher self, how many points can I go up? And what's the energy I need in order to go higher in consciousness, and what's blocking me from that? So that's one way it can be applied. Another way is what we're going to show you. Here's the Graced website. So the first thing you do, and it's really, really important and should never be quickly done, but just to get your connection prayer. So you want to make sure you understand that you are asking the higher self. It's not something you're going to be doing on your phone in the underground on your way to work, you know, with all the distractions. You really need to focus on getting your connection prayer. So I will be muscle testing while we do this, but I'll say, do I have permission from the higher self to treat all levels, memories, experiences, and lives? And I'm getting a strong yes. May I ask the higher self to integrate that goal statement in order to treat what is safe to rebalance, remove, restructure, and clear as much as possible? And I get a yes. May we treat the origin of distortions, imbalances, and underlying reasons that are contributing to what is blocking the soul from living in the realm of this goal statement? Yes. May we balance the chakras, the energy systems, the meridians, the organs, and networks of communication in order that we can treat the events, the memories, the ancestral impacts, the past lives, pathogens, toxins, and any other distortions that could be blocking the soul from living in the now with this goal statement? Yes. May we integrate this goal statement as balance into each and every system of the body, mind, and spirit? Yes. May we balance this change as a present way of being? Yes. So we want to express our appreciation and gratitude for any and all positive changes. So we've already determined a statement for what you wanted to work on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I spoke earlier when we worked out a goal statement, and for the issues presented, we have, I live in complete wellness and joy when I travel. So that's going to be the statement that we want to draw towards us in order to provide this healing. So the first thing we need to do is to find the feeling or frequency that's needed. So we go to the feeling chart. And through muscle testing, we find out which is the highest priority of frequency needed in order for that goal statement to be true. Is it in row 1? No, it's in row 2. Is it column 1? No, it's column 2. Okay, it's a question of temperament. So temperament is defined as the overall quality of being even-keeled emotionally, always positive and caring for others. And we can further define that as, does she need to be more cheerful? No. More hopeful? No. A positive outlook? Yes. So this is a state of mind that brings positive, energetic, forward-thinking energy. So in order to attract a higher frequency of temperament in terms of a positive outlook, what is blocking that? Now, just make it clear, it doesn't mean you don't have that to a very high degree. It's just saying to have that goal statement, we need to up that. So we'll go to the blocks. Okay, so we have here the categories for the blocks, and we need to muscle test and find out, is this in row 1? No, it's in row 2. Okay, it's something that happened in this life. So at some point in your life, you experienced something that was of a really low frequency that blocked the flow of light from being pure and clear. So it, when blocked, it can manifest as illness, pain, chronic imbalances, or even if it's been there a while, can even create a disease. So these can be a trauma, a looped thought, a negative memory, or myriad of energies that are keeping you at a lower state of frequency. So we're going to just ask some questions then. Was this block, this number 1 block, is it from one experience? And your higher self is telling me yes, on muscle testing. And we'll say, what age was she when this occurred? Was it before 10? No, it was before 20. Yes. Was it before 15? No. Was it 16? No, it was age 17. Okay, was this an experience where she resolved something about herself? She determined something, was an internal dialogue? No. Okay, was this something about herself with a family member? Yes. Was this family member her parents? No. Was it a sibling? No. Was it an extended family member? Was it an interaction? Okay, so this interaction with an extended family member. So what we could do, we could go into detail about which family member, that sort of thing, but we're going to find out what this was, and then ask to identify these issues with this family member. Could it have been an aunt? No. A cousin? No. Grandparents? Were grandparents involved in your life in any way at that age?
No, not to a degree where any of that was happening. What came to my mind was my boyfriend at the time.
Was it her boyfriend? No, it wasn't your boyfriend.
Okay.
It could be you realized something about grandparents. At 17, you came to a realization of something that has impacted your ability. Is this an ability to travel? No. Is this ability to be comfortable with traveling? Yes. Did something happen with her grandparents? Something happened with her grandparents that made you realize it's an energy that blocked you from being completely open and comfortable with traveling. So where we would go into more detail, it's your personal life, and I don't want to publicize your personal life too much, but anyway, that's the energy. And we can even just ask your higher self, under the circumstances, are we close enough that you're able to find that energy for us and disintegrate it for her? Absolutely. Okay. So
Okay.
it's saying it knows what it is. We don't need the detail. It's like the same in body code, emotion code.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't have to relive an experience of trauma or difficulty. You can just say, I identified it. I know what it is. So let's get rid of it.
And you know what? I think I know what it is, and it feels right not to share.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a block that it's very personal. So
Yeah.
this, and that's the beauty of this, is that you don't have to share. That if your higher self, sometimes higher self makes you go into detail. Like if the purpose is to learn a lesson, your higher self wants you to verbalize, to create the frequency of that energy of saying, I understand what I did that wasn't appropriate, or I've learned that lesson anyway, and I can let it go. But in this case, it's just saying you observe something that is resonating in you now. So we're going to release that resonation because your higher self is in agreement. So it's a prayer. Giving with grace and gratitude, we ask for the removal of this low frequency that's been stored in the body that does not belong. The message has been understood, therefore it no longer serves a purpose. We ask it to be sent to the sun to burn up and shield her in a clear white light of protection. We ask that this impediment be replaced with higher guidance to become the greatest and highest possible version of herself. Can we ask that this be handled? Yes. Okay. So that block has been removed. And then we'll ask, is there another block to having that element of temperament that she needs? And it's saying, no, we don't. If we did, we would just go back and do it again. We can ask, is there another frequency? Nope. It's saying no, that's done. So what that tells us is we are perfectly capable now of saying that block is gone. And in terms of just today's work, we would then say, is that 100% of the issue that's keeping her from having the frequency of that goal statement? No, it isn't. Okay, so if 100% represents all of the block, how much is gone today? Is it 100%? No. 90%? No. 80% is gone. So it would say, how many days do we have to wait? 1 day, 2 more days to do the remaining 20%. So there just needs to be some time to allow that to process and disintegrate and remove. In 2 days, you can come back and do the remaining 20%, or it might be enough at 80 to 90% that you can work it out yourself and say, I'm over the tipping point and I'm strong enough to handle this myself through affirmations, through prayer. I can clear this myself. Or come back in 2 days and do it again.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful questions. They've been amazing.
Sure, sure. And I loved going through the process, and it's so cool that it's sort of like a script. So as long as you know muscle testing, you can follow the script and it just tells you exactly what to say and what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
people prefer a pendulum. I don't use that, but it's a step towards muscle testing. I like muscle testing because it's you in contact with yourself, whereas the pendulum is external and can be subject to influence. But as a starting point, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm traveling in 2 days, so I'm very excited to see. I've already done some body code work around it, and hopefully this was that missing piece. So I'm excited to see how wonderful my journey is going to be. And I might check in and do some more body work with myself, body code work, to see if there's anything else I need to resolve.
Yeah, things can pop up once you start moving and processing, other things can pop up. I often go back and say, is there anything in body code that can help harmonize with this? Not all the time it happens, but sometimes it might pop up, but it's not necessary. But yeah, that's great if you do that.
Yeah. All right. Before we end this conversation, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience that we haven't covered?
No, I think we haven't covered how amazing you are and how great you are at doing this. And I appreciate so much you giving me this opportunity to share both the book and body code. The website explains subscriptions and membership. And if you have any questions, just contact me. It's easy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the work you do, and thank you for sharing it with us here.
Sure.
So the only thing left for me to say now is I really hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you click the like button, maybe even share it with a friend, or why not with all of your friends on Facebook? If you would like to know more about energy healing, you might want to watch this video. And if you'd like to know more about how to make the law of attraction work for you, so you can manifest anything you want with ease and quickly, make sure you click follow on my channel. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, make yourself a beautiful day.